Hi there, Kelly Price Brewer, Wellness Coach at the Functional Medicine Center. We talk a lot about mindfulness at the Functional Medicine Center. It's something that we take pretty seriously. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why today. Um, so there's an idea that I was introduced to a while ago called horse and rider, and as a fun way to describe how we can relate to our bodies sometimes. Our mind would be the rider, the one in charge, and the horse would be the body, would be the tool, would be um, the listener, the one not in charge. And this is how we relate to ourselves. We tell our body, no, you're not tired, or yeah, you need to go to sleep right now, or no, you're not hungry, or it's time to eat, or. And and the way that we speak to our body can change when our body is having a hard time or is not meeting our own expectations of how it should behave, how it should look, how it should relate to food or time or stress. And and this is no one's fault. It's not, there's no shortcoming on our part if we are treating our body like a tool that we're in charge of, because it's something that really isn't talked about a lot. Um, and that's why we like to bring attention to it. Um, so going back to this horse and rider analogy, the rider has a person, right, has words, has language, and this is how we learn to communicate with other people. And our body, or a horse or an animal, doesn't have the same type of language that we have. So we have to learn how to understand the messages coming from our body or coming from a horse or a dog, if we if we want to stick to that analogy. Um, and that takes time. There are wonderful horse trainers and wonderful dog trainers who teach us like these cues, these patterns that dogs use to communicate to us so that we can understand, and then we can communicate in turn in a way that the horse or dog could be responsive and understand, so that we can work on healing this relationship. In the same way, I think that mindfulness teachers, meditation groups, meditation practice, it teaches us how to get embodied, meaning how do we get quiet enough to notice and listen to the messages that our body is sending us, or notice the patterns that our body is dealing with. Um, and it's a daily practice of remembering and coming back to, and is difficult because life is not really always set up to give us time to stop and reflect and be with ourselves in a quiet, uninterrupted way. And so it takes a lot of consistent effort and practice. And if we can learn to get embodied, if we can learn what these symptoms are and what our body is trying to communicate with these symptoms, it can be a very healing and therapeutic part of our journey. Um, what I have learned from my own experience and from working with other people is that nothing really needs to be solved. Um, our body is just like any other part of us. It's just like our mind or our inner child. It wants to be seen and understood and not pushed aside or um, or ignored. Again, difficult sometimes. So I don't want you to think that yeah. So how do we do this? What's a practice? How do we get from I have no idea what's going on in my body to I feel connected, I understand what my body is trying to communicate to me through symptoms? So a symptom like fatigue, probably the body is communicating Um, you have been asking me to be in a season of summer, of bloom, of productivity, of going and doing, and I missed out on winter. I missed out on darkness and rest and quiet. And I need more of that. I need balance. Um, that's often the message with fatigue. There are different reasons for that. There could be emotional burnout. There could be, I haven't had a vacation in 2 years and I work 80 hours a week. There could be a physical illness. It could come about and manifest for several different reasons in several different ways. Generally, the symptoms come up because the body is out of balance and is asking for balance, um, whatever that means to you. So, and just like communicating with other people, if we're trying to learn a new language, if we're trying to learn and understand a new idea at school, we're not going to talk over the professor. We're not going to silence the professor or tell the professor we don't have time for this lecture, right? We're going to be quiet and listen and take notes. And that to me is what present moment awareness or a mindfulness practice is a time for me to get quiet and pay attention to my inner world. Because man, there is depth inside of us. Um, it's a long way to our cores. There's a lot to uncover, a lot to hear, and a lot to notice inside of all of us. Many stories, many beliefs, many thoughts, many emotions, and a very alive body doing its best to serve us and protect us. So, okay, back to what can this look like? So for me, um, this is nice. I will put my hand on my heart. Heart's a little lower over here, or just your center chest, the heart space, or maybe on my belly. Um, Maybe I don't need to put my hands on my body, but the touch is a nice cue to remind me to stay right here. Here is my focus inside myself. So I like the touching of the belly or the chest. Um, and what I'll do at first, especially, is maybe see if I can look in the mirror or um, yeah, see if I can look in the mirror and just make eye contact with myself and just see myself. Maybe I say hello. Maybe I say, I see you. Or maybe even, I love you to myself. Just to let my inner world, just to let my body know and my mind and every part of me, I'm here, my attention is on you, and whatever comes up, I have space and time for you right now. And then I may just focus on my breath after kind of greeting myself. It sounds pretty silly, I know. And also, woo, is it hard to make eye contact and to smile at yourself and to say, I love you? It can take several weeks just to be able to do that. And then to sit and focus on my breath. Maybe for some folks, that's where we start, is I just sit and focus on my breath because looking at myself is too much. So then maybe we close our eyes again so that we can help not get distracted by the outer environment, and as a cue to focus on my inner environment. What's in here is what matters. If closing your eyes doesn't feel good, then you can bring your gaze down to your body. Again, just as a cue, what's inside right here is what I'm focusing on. I'm giving myself my time and my attention. And then you just breathe. Full breaths through the nose is awesome. If breathing through the nose is something that doesn't really feel like it's available to you, see if you can breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Um, just do your best. Try it for 2 or 3 minutes a day. See what you notice. Another practice that I really like, um, which involves noticing, but not necessarily stopping for breath or greeting yourself. I call it positive embodiment. And so maybe I'll set a timer for 2 or 3 days just to remind myself to kickstart the habit. I'll set a timer 4 or 5 times a day. And when the timer goes off, not the timer, like a calendar thing on my phone, not a timer, but like at 10 a.m. and then lunchtime and then 5 when I get home and then 8 before bed or something like that. Like just a few times a day when I have pretty regular breaks, I'll put something on my phone and then it'll go off and I'll just stop. Again, close my eyes or rest my eyes down in my lap or in my body, and just take a second to notice how I feel. Am I thirsty? Am I hungry? Am I tired? Am I stressed? Are all my muscles really tight? Do I feel relaxed and open? Am I hot? Am I cold? And just take a second to notice. I'm doing it right now as I'm talking, and I'm recognizing that I'm thirsty. And I swear this is the one that happens all the time. I'm like, oh, the chest is a little tight, and I'm thirsty. Um, and and that oh, and that awareness has been really helpful. It's helped me get down to the root of some chronic back issues that I've had and helped me understand where some chronic anxiety is coming from as well. It can be a very powerful practice and it doesn't take a lot of time, it just takes consistency. So, do you have 2 minutes that you can spare for your own beautiful self today, tomorrow, the next day?